I will never be selling all of my Turbo, and the reason is because I believe that it has a very bright long-term future. Now, some people may think I'm crazy for saying this, but even though nothing I say is financial advice, I'm not saying that I'm never going to be exiting because, of course, that'd be crazy, right? But what I'm saying is that I'm never going to be exiting 100% completely because, again, I think the future is very bright for Turbo, and I think it's going to be around for a very long time. And we've seen this time and time again in history. For instance, we saw Shiba Inu pump, right? We saw Dogecoin pump. Are they ever going to go to like a $1 billion market cap ever again in history? I highly doubt that. I think that's pretty much impossible. Also, let's say we use like a different example, not a meme coin, right? Let's say we take a look at Bitcoin, take a look at Ethereum, Solana, whatever the case is. They, at one point, were hovering at a very caca price. Let's narrow this example down to Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin at one point was at the price of $1. Of course, despite it having bear markets and all this type of stuff, is it ever going to reach that price ever again? Like, let's say after this board is over, Bitcoin has a major pullback. Can it reach $1 ever again? No, I think that's impossible. Can it reach $1,000 ever again? I don't think so, let alone even 10,000. So the way I view it is that when it comes to these good projects, right, with a good community, with a good foundation, even after a bull run is over, they usually never return to the caca point at which they once were. Much like in the case of Turbo, hypothetically, in my opinion, this is just, again, a make-believe scenario. But I think, let's say after this bull run is over, let's say Bitcoin, does very well. Turbo goes along with the ride. Let's say Turbo goes to the price of 50 cents and maybe even beyond. Now, 50 cents is my price target for this bull run. But let's say it reaches like a very high point like that, has a major pullback. I don't think it's ever going to reach the price of even below 5 cents ever again. Now, that's just my personal opinion. But I think that even after this bull run is over, even after, Turbo has a major pullback, I don't think it can go to even below the price of 5 cents ever again. Now, again, I'm not guaranteeing this, but this is just my prediction, which is why I'm never going to be selling completely, because I think that these prices, even though it may seem high as of right now when it comes to Turbo, I think that, again, even 5 cents, we could very well never see that ever again, below that after this bull run is over. So that's why I do believe that Turbo is a very special meme coin. I think it's going to be like this Shiba Inu or like this Dogecoin, not in terms of size, but I think in terms of like longevity. I think that Turbo has the prerequisites to allow for that to happen, meaning that usually we see these projects that stick around for a long time again, have a good foundation, have a good community, have a good fan base, have great exposure. Turbo pretty much ticks all the boxes. Exposure, it's not lacking. You take a look at Binance, KuCoin. I mean, need I say more, right? That's very fantastic. Take a look at the fan base. Now, it doesn't have the biggest fan base out there, but you know what? It's very passionate and it's very vocal and it's very strong, in my opinion. Now, when it comes to foundation, some people may think, okay, the use case for Turbo isn't the best. Well, take a look at TurboSwap. Take a look at, Turbo Chain. I recently talked about that in a previous video when it comes to Turbo, how Aurora Labs, they were doing that in regards to, Turbo. So when you think about that, that does add a much better use case for Turbo. Not that it really needs it because it is a meme coin, but take a look at Shibarium for Shiba Inu, layer 2. That helped Shiba Inu greatly. So I think this could be huge for Turbo's future, even if, let's say, it doesn't gain like mass adoption or something like that. But even besides that point, not to mention Turbo, it's a meme coin created by AI, and it's very unique and it's very interesting. Take a look at Shiba Inu and Dogecoin. Are they the only like dog-themed meme coins as of right now? No, I mean, there's a ton, right? But they're still around because they were pretty much the pioneers. Much like Turbo, I think no matter like what projects pop up, let's say there's like 1,000 new like meme coins created by AI. Let's say there is. I'm not saying there will be, but I'm just saying hypothetically, I still think Turbo is going to be one of the top dogs, so to speak, because it's like pretty much the originator. It was the one that made it cool. It was the one that made it interesting. So I think this one is going to be around for a very long time. I think it's going to be like the Dogecoin, but not for meme coins in general, but for the niche of like meme coins created by AI, which is why I do believe that when it comes to Turbo, this right here is very special. I mean, I think that it's pretty much one of a kind, not really in terms of its use case, not really in terms of its like, community, because the community isn't the largest, the use case isn't the best, but in terms of unique and cool factor, it is. And that right there does matter a lot in the world of meme coins, which is why I do believe that this one is very special. Now, even if we remove, like, let's say the very long-term aspect, why do I think that Turbo could reach, like, let's say 50 cents during this bull run? The reason being is because, first of all, it's not unrealistic if it were to go to that price, considering current circulating supply and market cap would be around $33 billion. So it's not too much. Shiba Inu, keep in mind, reached around 40 billion. Dogecoin reached over 80 billion. I'm not saying that Turbo needs to like defeat a Shiba Inu or Doge, but you know what? Just achieving like somewhat of them, I think is already fantastic. And keep in mind, considering how much Turbo has pumped, 50 cents is an additional 54x from here, around that, right? Which is kind of crazy to think about. So when people like to say that, oh yeah, Turbo doesn't have much more in the gas tank, I completely disagree with that, because I do believe that, it still has that room for growth, even despite, let's say, like not having the best upside out there for a meme coin. Now, when I take a look at Turbo, the way I also take a look at it is that its exposure and its community could very well allow for this to happen, because without great exposure, a meme coin really isn't going to go anywhere, in my opinion. But again, you take a look at some place like, Binance, take a look at KuCoin, and maybe even much more, because as the days goes on, right, as the months go by, I think it's only fair to assume that more and more exchanges, at least the major ones, they're going to start listing Turbo, hypothetically, because as the community increases, right, as the sentiment gets a lot better, I think it's only fair to assume that many of these amazing exchanges, they're going to start listing Turbo. And who knows who's really going to list Turbo? There are rumors. There are also planned listings, and I actually talked about that in previous videos. But I think that, man, this is really going to help Turbo eventually if, let's say, more exchanges do start listing Turbo. And also, not to mention, when you have over 600 million crypto owners as we speak, I think this bull run could be so legendary. And I think this is just a glimpse, because we see the pattern in terms of the increase in terms of crypto owners. Back in the peak of the 2021 bull run, there was roughly around 300 million. Now there's over 600 million. Could you imagine, let's say, in the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, how much will there be? Over 1 billion crypto owners in the next 5 years? I don't see why not. Really. I mean, when I consider the trajectory, I don't think that'd be crazy. And I think at that point, right, Turbo, let's say next cycle, it's just going to do amazing as well, hypothetically, because it's not going to go in a bad direction, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to disappear off to the abyss. If something like Luna Classic can make it this far, I'm pretty sure that Turbo can make it like at least minimum 10 to 15 years, because it shows that the standard of, individuals nowadays when it comes to these like projects, it really hasn't been to a point where it's like very high, it feels like, because people usually care about hypothetical upside. They care about, a project with a good and strong community, with a good unique factor, and Turbo is exactly that. So for the current sentiment, and I still think for the sentiment for the next 5, 10, 15 years, it's still going to more or less be like this. Now, beyond that, I think it is going to be like more of a utility-driven market where people actually care about, projects with adoption and whatnot. But as of right now, people don't really care about that, and at least for the foreseeable future. So I think Turbo is still going to be one of these major players. And even after this bull run is over, I'm still going to be holding Turbo. I'm never going to be selling completely, because again, 50 cents, hypothetically, that is my price target for this bull run. But, even after this bull run is over, I think Turbo is still going to be around. So again, I'm never going to be selling completely. But again, 50 cents is still my price target for Turbo during this bull run. I'm not changing that. And I believe better days are ahead. Despite this pullback, everyone's panicking and whatnot, but I'm not. I still believe that brighter days are ahead, and I think 2025 is going to be a time to shine. But I think that, again, after this bull run is over, Turbo is still going to have a bright future, and I really can't wait, especially for this bull run though, but also for the long term. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.